Let's bring in Hugh Hewitt. He's an MSNBC political analyst and host of the Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network. Good afternoon to you.
Hey, Sheinelle. How are you?
We're great. What's your response to Senator Graham? I guess it should be noted here that President Obama denied President Trump's allegations, but other branches of his administration and the DOJ or the FBI, I guess, could have ordered the tap. What's your take?
My take is, from the perspective, Sheinelle, of having been a special assistant to two attorneys general in charge of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court warrants that the AG would send in from the Counterintelligence Division of the FBI. What I know for a fact is any application for a warrant to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court has an enormous paper trail. So if such a warrant existed, if such a surveillance tap was authorized by the court, there are details that would be available to the new president about it. It is also highly likely that President Obama would not know about every Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court warrant that was issued or asked for, or every surveillance authorized. So it's quite possible for President Trump to be correct that surveillance was authorized against Trump Tower, and for President Obama, a spokesperson, to be correct that President Obama did not know about that. So it's a very complicated set of laws. I also want to take a moment to slow everyone down on special prosecutor talk. Yesterday I heard a couple of people say we need a special prosecutor, there's a law for it. There isn't any law for it anymore. The independent counsel statute that was originally authorized in 1978 expired in 1999 after about 15 different independent counsels. What would be required would be for the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, to say, I am going to appoint a special counsel to conduct an in-depth investigation, not just of ties with Russia or allegations of ties with Russia between Team Trump, but allegations of improper behavior by President Obama. One special counsel for the entire interrelated ball of allegations. It's really quite a set of uncharted territories that we've entered into, but I think people need to slow down, as Lindsey Graham just did, and say, let's keep our silos straight. Everyone agrees Russia interfered with our election. I do, you do. I don't think anyone doubts that the FSB and the GRU used WikiLeaks. But everything else after that is a ball of yarn that has to be unspooled very, very carefully.
So since we're talking about Russian ties, help me understand this. If we find out an FISA warrant was indeed issued, the bar is pretty high for that. So should we then assume that then there was a problem? I mean, the fact that that would be issued in the first place, isn't that an issue?
That's a great question, Sheinelle. We were never turned down. I did that for, as I said, Attorney General Smith and Attorney General Meese, and we would review what the FBI put together in great depth before giving it into the Attorney General, who would then go over it personally before giving it to the court, and the court looked at it at great length and with great scrutiny. So there was always probable cause to conduct a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court investigation. I don't know that any has happened, by the way. There are only reports of this, and it is in fact classified to ask for those warrants. So those allegations get out there. That's the controversial part about President Trump's tweet. He didn't say it was a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court warrant. If it's a Second Circuit warrant on the Trump Tower
so you think we've jumped to even that alone?
Yeah, that you asked for a warrant has got so much classified information. I still can't talk about stuff that I did in 1985 because it's sensitive, compartmented information. And so I just think we all have to slow down and recognize this is uncharted territory. And what Lindsey Graham was saying is that it would be extremely troubling if the President Obama's administration, anyone, sought the authority of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to authorize surveillance of anyone on the Trump team. That would be deeply troubling and without precedent, far beyond anything that Nixon did when he approached the CIA to shut down the FBI investigation into Watergate. On the other hand, we have no idea if it happened.
Well, you can understand why there's such a brouhaha over here. Let me go to this. The New York Times, Nick Kristof responded to the president's tweet storm today, writing, quote, journalists know when leaders go berserk, furiously denying there's anything going on, blaming others, that's when you know you're getting close. Do you think that's the case here? I mean, is the president throwing out all these allegations? Here's the thing, Hugh, you know it. People think he's just trying to cover up for something bigger on the way.
Well, I think Nick is a very smart guy, and we're getting close to something. And here's my prediction, Sheinelle. I think that the Department of Justice is going to have to name a special prosecutor, not an independent counsel. They don't exist anymore. A special prosecutor would be like Archibald Cox and Leon Jaworski, just an individual designated by the Attorney General to carry out a special investigation with which the Attorney General will have nothing to do. And that individual is going to be charged with looking into not just whether or not there were any inappropriate contacts between Team Trump and Russia. That's a very hot potato. But whether or not there was also any inappropriate surveillance or interference with the election by Team Obama or any of their or anyone connected with the Department of Justice. So I think a special prosecutor is a double-edged blade for partisans on both sides. They go wherever they want, whether it's named Lawrence Walsh, whether it's Jacob Stein. And as a side note, long ago, I was the law clerk to the special panel of federal judges that would name special prosecutors. Such a panel doesn't exist anymore. The special prosecutor who would be named either by Jeff Sessions or by the incoming Deputy Attorney General, not the acting Deputy Attorney General, and that individual should be completely skilled as a prosecutor, because this would go wherever it may not go to Trump, it may go to Obama. It's one of the most interesting, potentially controversial. That's why Lindsey Graham, who's such a good man, is deeply troubled by the prospect. He knows that this is a rabbit hole that no one in the media has any idea where it might end up.
I will say we're going to talk to Senator Graham coming up a little later this afternoon. Hugh Hewitt, good conversation today. Thank you for talking.